Kim Ta-won stood at the viewport of the Harmony watching as Earth grew smaller behind them. His hand rested on the gun at his hip, a habit from his 15 years in the United Earth Defense Force. Even now, as head of security on a diplomatic mission, he could not shake his soldiers' instincts. Still saying goodbye, Captain Park, Jae-yun, joined him at the viewport. Her voice was soft, but carried natural authority. "Just making sure it's still there when we return," Kim said. He turned to face her. "If we return." Captain Park sighed. "You were selected for this mission because you are the best, not because you are the most optimistic." Kim nodded. "My job is security, not optimism." The Harmony was humanity's newest starship, built specifically for this mission. For the first time, Earth had been invited to join the Galactic Concordat, an alliance of 7 advanced alien civilizations. After centuries of wondering if we were alone in the universe, humanity had learned in just 50 years that the galaxy was full of intelligent life, and most of it was far more advanced. "The crew is assembled in the main hall for your security briefing," Captain Park said. "Try not to scare them too much." Kim followed her through the sleek corridors of the Harmony. The ship hummed with energy as it accelerated toward the jump point that would take them to the Concordat's central station. In the main hall, 30 men and women waited, Earth's finest scientists, diplomats, and a small security team. Kim took his place at the front and activated the display screen. "Welcome to the first day of our journey," he began. "I'm Officer Kim Ta-won, head of security. My job is to keep you safe during our meeting with the Concordat." He displayed images of the 7 alien species that made up the Galactic Concordat. "The Valorians," Kim said, pointing to crystal-like beings with multiple limbs. "Silicon-based life forms, highly logical. They were the first to contact Earth 5 years ago." He moved through the other species, the 4-armed Pterillians, the aquatic Merope, the insectoid Vril, the gaseous Aerophids, the plant-like Florians, and the empathic Neruians who looked almost human except for their purple skin and large eyes. Each species has different customs, different biology, and different reasons for wanting Earth in their alliance. Kim continued. "My team has prepared guides on how to interact with each species. Study them carefully." A young scientist raised her hand. "Is there any real danger?" "This is a peaceful mission." Kim's face remained serious. "I lost my parents in the resource wars when I was 10. People always call for peace right before they start taking what they want. We know very little about the Concordat's true intentions." "That's enough. Officer Kim," Captain Park cut in smoothly. "What Officer Kim means is that standard precautions are wise when meeting new cultures." After the briefing, as the crew dispersed, communications specialist Choi Hyun-woo approached Kim. "That was quite a speech," Choi said with a slight smile. "I counted at least 5 people who may not sleep tonight." Kim shrugged. "Better scared and alert than comfortable and careless." "The Concordat invited us," Choi reminded him. "They shared technology, helped us solve our climate crisis. Why would they mean us harm? Why invite a species that's centuries behind them into their alliance?" Kim asked. "What do we offer that they need?" Choi had no answer for that. 3 weeks later, the Harmony arrived at the Concordat Central Station. The massive structure hung in space like a silver flower, its petals forming docking bays for ships of all shapes and sizes. As they approached their assigned dock, Kim gathered his security team for final instructions. "Stay alert but respectful," he told them. "No weapons unless I directly order it. Watch each other's backs and report anything unusual immediately." When the airlock opened, a delegation of aliens waited to greet them. A tall Valorian led the group, its crystalline body reflecting the light in rainbow patterns. "Welcome, humans of Earth," it said, its voice coming from a translation device. "I am Supreme Counselor Sith of the Valorian Commonwealth. We are pleased to welcome the 8th species to the Concordat evaluation process." Captain Park stepped forward with perfect diplomatic poise. "Thank you," Supreme Counselor, I am Captain Park Jae-yun of Earth. We are honored by your invitation and eager to learn from the Concordat's collective wisdom. As the formal greetings continued, Kim studied the alien delegation carefully. Something felt off. The Valorian's crystal segments seemed to vibrate with tension, and the Neurian representative was staying unusually far from the others of its kind. The humans were led on a tour of the station. It was a marvel of engineering. Artificial gravity that adjusted to each species' homeworld, atmospheres that changed from section to section, and technology beyond human understanding. This station has stood for over 1,000 years, Counselor Zith explained. Each member race has its own sector, designed to their biological needs. And where would the human sector be? Captain Park asked. That would be determined after full membership, the Valorian replied. If your species passes the evaluation. Kim noticed the word choice, if. The Valorian's crystal body stiffened slightly, a formality. All candidate species undergo evaluation before joining the Concordat. Later, at the formal dinner in the human-compatible section of the station, Kim watched as the diplomats and scientists from Earth mingled with representatives from the 7 Concordat races. Captain Park was deep in conversation with a group of Neurians, her diplomatic skills on full display. Kim moved through the crowd carefully, listening and observing. Near the refreshment area, he overheard 2 Valorians speaking to each other, unaware that he was within earshot of their translators. These primitive carbon units are unworthy of Concordat protection, one said quietly. Their introduction could destabilize the balance we have maintained. The decision has been made, the other replied. They will be contained like the others. Kim moved away before they noticed him, his suspicions growing. He found Captain Park and quietly asked for a moment of her time. Is everything all right, Officer Kim? She asked when they stepped away from the crowd. I'm not sure, he admitted. I overheard something concerning. The Valorians referred to humans as primitive carbon units and mentioned containment. Captain Park frowned. Perhaps a translation error, or you misunderstood the context. Maybe, Kim said, though he didn't believe it. But I'd like permission to conduct deeper security sweeps than originally planned. She nodded slowly. Granted, but be discreet. We cannot afford diplomatic incidents based on misunderstandings. After the dinner, while most of the human delegation rested in their assigned quarters, Kim began his investigation. Using security clearances granted to him as head of security, he accessed the station's public information systems. Most of it was meaningless to him. Historical records in alien languages, scientific data on subjects humans hadn't yet discovered. But in the public communication logs between Concordat members, Kim found something that sent a chill down his spine. An encrypted message, partially decoded by his device, mentioned a containment protocol for Earth. The same protocol had been applied to another species 200 years earlier, a species that was not among the current Concordat members. As Kim attempted to learn more, a soft voice spoke from behind him. You will not find the answers you seek in our public records, human. Kim turned quickly to find a Neurian standing in the doorway. Its large purple eyes watched him with an unreadable expression. I was just familiarizing myself with the station's systems, Kim said carefully. The Neurian tilted its head. You are concerned for your people's safety. As you should be. It glanced around before continuing. Not all within the Concordat welcome Earth with open arms. Some fear what humans might become. And what might that be? Kim asked. Something new, the Neurian said simply. Something that could change everything. Before Kim could ask more questions, the Neurian left as silently as it had appeared. Kim stared at the door for a long moment, then returned to his search with renewed determination. Earth had been invited to the stars, but Kim was increasingly certain it wasn't out of friendship. The question was, what did the Concordat really want from humanity? And more importantly, what would they do to get it? Kim couldn't sleep. The Neurian's words echoed in his mind. Some fear what humans might become. He stared at the ceiling of his quarters on the Harmony, which was docked at the Concordat station. At 400 hours, he gave up on sleep and went to find Choi Hyunwoo, the communications specialist. If anyone could help him dig deeper into the Concordat systems, it would be Choi. He found Choi already awake in the ship's communications center, monitoring transmissions between Earth and the station. "Can't sleep either?" Kim asked. Choi looked up with tired eyes. "Too much to learn. The Concordat uses communication methods we never imagined possible." Kim closed the door and lowered his voice. "I need your help with something unofficial." Choi raised an eyebrow. "That sounds like trouble." "It might be nothing," Kim said, though he didn't believe it. "But I found a reference to a containment protocol for Earth and the Concordat's communications." Choi's playful smile faded. "What kind of containment?" "That's what I need to find out. Can you help me decrypt more of their communications?" Choi hesitated, then nodded. "I shouldn't, but I will. For Earth." For the next 2 hours, they worked in silence. Choi used his exceptional skills to navigate the alien systems while Kim looked for any mention of Earth or containment protocols. "Here," Choi said finally. "I've accessed some encrypted communications between the Valorian delegation and their home world." The messages were complex, but the translation software did its best. What they found confirmed Kim's worst fears. Humans possess dangerous adaptive capabilities. Cognitive flexibility exceeds all known species, must be regulated before expansion threatens established order. "What does this mean?" Choi asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Kim frowned. "It means the Concordat didn't invite us to join as equals. They invited us to control us." "We should tell Captain Park," Choi said. Kim nodded. "But we need more information first. She won't act on fragments of translated messages." Later that morning, the human delegation attended the first formal meeting with the Concordat Council. The meeting chamber was massive, with 7 large sections for each member race and a smaller 8th section where the humans sat. Captain Park led the Earth delegation with grace and confidence. Kim stood behind her, watching the alien representatives carefully. The Valorian Supreme Counselor Zith spoke first. "For 50,000 years, the Concordat has maintained peace and progress among the civilized worlds. Each member race contributes their unique biological and cultural strengths to our collective." Kim noticed how the Valorian emphasized the word unique, while its crystal body flickered with colors that the translation device couldn't interpret. "Earth has shown remarkable progress in a short time," Zith continued. "From your first radio signals to starships in mere centuries. Such rapid development is both impressive and concerning." Captain Park replied diplomatically. "We are eager to learn from the Concordat's wisdom and experience. Humanity knows we have much to learn." After hours of formal speeches, the real purpose of the meeting was revealed. Earth would undergo 3 tests to prove its readiness for Concordat membership. First, a test of technological adaptation, Zith announced. "A human pilot must navigate our test course using Concordat controls." Second, a test of diplomatic wisdom, where humans must resolve a conflict between Concordat members. And finally, a test of biological compatibility with Concordat environments. As the meeting ended, Kim followed Captain Park back to their quarters. "Those aren't tests," he said once they were alone. "They're obstacles designed to make us fail." Captain Park looked tired. "You don't know that, Officer Kim." "I do know that," he insisted, and shared what he and Choi had discovered. Captain Park listened carefully, her expression growing more serious with each word. "If you're right," she said finally, "why would they bother with tests? Why not simply reject us?" "That's what I've been trying to figure out," Kim admitted. "I think they need to justify our containment to the other Concordat members. Not all of them see us as a threat." Later that day, Kim sought out the Neruian who had spoken to him before. He found the purple-skinned alien in a quiet garden area designed to accommodate multiple species. "I was hoping you would find me," the Neruian said without turning around. "My name is Talo." "You knew I would have questions," Kim said, sitting beside the alien. Talo nodded. Neruians sensed the emotions of others. Your suspicion was loud. Tell me about the containment protocol, Kim said directly. Tedlo's large eyes blinked slowly. The Concordat was formed to promote peace and cooperation, but it was also formed to maintain the existing power balance. You mean to keep everyone in their place? Yes. Each species has evolved specific strengths. The Valorians have unmatched logical processing. My people have emotional intelligence. The Vril can build incredible structures. Each species is specialized. And humans? Talo looked at Kim with something like wonder. Humans are different. You are generalists. You adapt to new situations faster than any species we have encountered. You learn across disciplines. Your brains form new connections in ways that frighten some Concordat members, especially the Valorians, Kim guessed. The Valorians are facing a crisis, Talo revealed. Their home system is experiencing a stellar phenomenon that is changing the radiation patterns. Their crystalline bodies cannot adapt quickly enough. They fear extinction within 3 generations. Kim began to understand. And they see humans as competition for new worlds. Some do, Talo agreed. Others see humans as a possible source of help. My people believe your adaptive thinking might find solutions the Valorians cannot. So the Concordat is divided about Earth. Deeply divided. The containment protocol was designed for species deemed too unpredictable for full membership. It allows limited technology sharing and space travel, while preventing true independence. Kim stood up, his mind racing. The tests are rigged to justify implementing this protocol. The first test especially, Talo confirmed. Valorian technology is designed for silicon-based neural pathways. It will be nearly impossible for a carbon-based brain to use effectively. Thank you, Kim said. I need to warn my people. As he turned to leave, Talo called after him. Officer Kim, not all Concordat members want to contain Earth. Some of us see a different future, one where humans help us all adapt and grow. Kim brought his findings to Captain Park and the senior staff of the Harmony Asterisk. They gathered in the ship's secure conference room, faces grim as Kim explained what he had learned. So we're being set up to fail, Dr. Lee Minho, the chief scientist, concluded. But now that we know, we can prepare, Captain Park said. The first test is piloting with Valorian technology. We need to understand how it works. Choi spoke up. I've been studying their tech. It responds to crystalline thought patterns. Very logical, very rigid. No intuition, no creativity. Which is exactly how humans don't think, Kim added. Captain Park stood up, her decision made. Then we need to think differently. Dr. Lee, work with Choi to understand the Valorian control systems. Officer Kim, I want you to volunteer as our pilot. Kim was surprised. Captain, we have better pilots on board. We need someone who understands what's really happening, she explained. Someone who won't give up when the system fights against human intuition. She looked at him with confidence. You're adaptable, Officer Kim, more than you give yourself credit for. As the meeting ended, Kim found himself alone with Captain Park. There's something else, he said. The Valorians are facing extinction because they can't adapt to changes in their home system. Their fear of humans might be more personal than political. Captain Park considered this. Fear often drives the worst decisions, but it can also create opportunities. How so? If they need help adapting, she said thoughtfully, perhaps we can offer a different kind of arrangement. Not containment, but cooperation. For the first time since leaving Earth, Kim felt a glimmer of hope, but that hope was quickly tempered by reality. First, he had to pass an impossible test using alien technology designed to make humans fail. I'll start training immediately, he told Captain Park. Good, she replied, because the first test begins tomorrow. The testing chamber was massive. Kim stood before a strange pod-like device that looked nothing like any ship he had ever piloted. Representatives from all 7 Concordat species watched from a viewing area above. Dr. Lee approached Kim with a small device. "This is the best we could do with one night's work," he said quietly. "It's a neural interface modifier. It might help your brain connect better with the Valorian technology." Kim took the small device and placed it behind his ear. "Might." Dr. Lee gave an apologetic smile. "We've never worked with this kind of technology before. Just try to think logically. No emotions, no intuition." "That's not how humans work," Kim said. "Exactly their point," Dr. Lee replied. Captain Park joined them, her face calm despite the pressure. "Remember, Officer Kim, this is just the first test. Do your best, but don't take unnecessary risks." Supreme Counselor Zith floated down from the viewing area, its crystalline body shimmering under the lights. "The test course is a standard navigation path through an asteroid field," it explained. "You must reach the endpoint without colliding with any objects." "Sounds simple enough," Kim said. The Valorian's colors shifted slightly. "The course was designed for beings with proper mental discipline. We have adjusted it to accommodate your limitations." Kim could tell from the Valorian's tone that no such adjustments have been made. "The control pod responds to thought patterns," Zith continued. "It requires complete logical clarity and precision." "I understand," Kim said, though he didn't really. Human thought was never just logical. It was a mix of logic, emotion, instinct, and creativity all working together. He entered the pod, and it closed around him. Inside was dark until it activated, surrounding him with a 3-dimensional display of space. He could see the asteroid field ahead, a dense cluster of rocks swirling in complex patterns. "Begin when ready," Zith's voice came through the pod's communication system. Kim took a deep breath and focused his thoughts on moving forward. Nothing happened. He tried again, picturing the pod moving through space in a straight line. The pod shuddered slightly but didn't move. "Your thought patterns are too chaotic," Zith commented. "You must clear your mind of all but the pure geometric path." Kim tried again, attempting to think only about the path ahead. The pod moved forward slowly, entering the edge of the asteroid field. For a moment, he felt a surge of accomplishment. Then an asteroid appeared directly in his path. He instinctively thought about turning left to avoid it, but the pod didn't respond. Instead, it continued straight ahead. At the last second, Kim forced himself to think about the exact angle needed to miss the asteroid, calculating it in his head. The pod turned slightly, not enough. The edge of the pod grazed the asteroid, sending it spinning. "A collision has been recorded," Zith announced. "This is a failure." "The test continues," Kim replied firmly, fighting to regain control. As he pushed deeper into the asteroid field, Kim struggled to make the pod respond. It was like trying to speak a language he didn't know. Every instinctive reaction he had seemed to confuse the controls. In the viewing area, Captain Park watched with growing concern. Beside her, Telo the Nerwian approached. "Your officer struggles," Telo observed. "The system is designed for Valorian minds," Captain Park replied. "It's unfair." Telo nodded. "Yes, that is the point. The Valorians believe that if humans cannot adapt to their way of thinking, we cannot coexist." Inside the pod, Kim was growing frustrated. Another near collision had left the pod's systems damaged. Warning lights flashed across the display. "This is impossible," he muttered to himself. Then he had a realization. The Valorians expected him to think like them, to follow rigid, logical patterns. But humans didn't succeed by thinking like other species. They succeeded by thinking like humans. Instead of fighting his natural thought processes, Kim embraced them. He stopped trying to calculate exact paths and started feeling the rhythm of the asteroid field. He pictured himself dancing through the space between rocks, using intuition alongside logic. The pod's response was immediate. It lurched forward, then began moving more smoothly. Kim wasn't controlling it the way a Valorian would, but he was controlling it. In the viewing area, Zith's crystalline body vibrated with alarm. He's adapting the system to his thought patterns. This is not permitted. You never said that was a rule, Captain Park pointed out calmly. You said he must navigate the course. You didn't specify how. Kim was now moving through the asteroid field with increasing confidence. The pod systems were still damaged, but he had found a new way to communicate with the technology. He wasn't thinking purely logically. He was thinking creatively, intuitively, and logically all at once. When a large asteroid blocked his path, Kim didn't try to go around it. Instead, he pictured using its gravity to slingshot the pod forward. The pod responded, accelerating as it curved around the massive rock. Remarkable, Taylor whispered. Other Concordat representatives murmured among themselves, some impressed, others concerned. Kim was halfway through the course when something changed. The pod's controls suddenly became unresponsive again. The display flickered, and warning lights flashed everywhere. System malfunction, a computerized voice announced. Navigation failure imminent. Kim knew immediately what was happening. They're sabotaging the test, he said to himself. The Valorians couldn't accept that he had found a way to make their technology work with a human mind. With the main controls failing, Kim had to find another solution. He noticed a maintenance panel under the control interface. Without hesitation, he pried it open and found a complex array of crystalline circuits. Drawing on everything Choi and Dr. Lee had told him about Valorian technology, Kim began rerouting the circuits. He wasn't an engineer, but he understood basic systems. If he couldn't use the intended interface, he would make his own. In the viewing area, chaos erupted. The human is damaging Concordat property, Zith declared. End the test immediately. If you end it now, it proves you never intended to give us a fair chance, Captain Park responded, her voice steady but firm. Let him finish. Inside the pod, Kim had created a crude but functional control system. By directly manipulating the crystalline circuits and using Dr. Lee's neural interface, he established a new connection with the pod. The display came back online, showing that he was still in the middle of the asteroid field. The exit point was visible in the distance. With his new control system, Kim navigated through the remaining obstacles. His movements weren't elegant, but they were effective. When the pod finally crossed the finish line, there was a moment of stunned silence from the Concordat representatives. The pod door opened, and Kim stepped out, exhausted but standing tall. Captain Park approached him with a subtle smile of pride. Officer Kim has completed the navigation test, she announced to the Concordat Council. By violating the intended use of our technology, Zith objected, its crystalline body flashing angry red and orange patterns. By adapting, Captain Park corrected. Isn't that what space exploration requires? The ability to adapt to unexpected challenges. Other Concordat representatives seemed to agree. The Neruian delegation in particular was nodding in approval. The test was completed, the Merope representative declared, its watery voice gurgling through a translator. Regardless of methods, the human reached the endpoint without further collisions after the initial contact. Zith's colors darkened. The Council will need to discuss this unusual approach before proceeding to the second test. As the Concordat members filed out of the testing chamber, Taylor approached Kim. You have given my people much to consider, the Neruian said. No species has ever modified Valorian technology during a test before. Kim was too tired to be diplomatic. The test was rigged. We both know it. Yes, Taylor agreed simply. And now others in the Concordat are beginning to see it too. But be careful, Officer Kim. The Valorians will not accept this outcome easily. Captain Park joined them, her expression serious despite their small victory. The diplomatic test is tomorrow. And after what happened today, I suspect it will be even more challenging than we anticipated. Kim nodded, still catching his breath. They'll try something else. Something we can't prepare for. Then we'll adapt again, Captain Park said with quiet determination. It's what humans do best. The morning of the diplomatic test, Captain Park gathered her team in the Harmony's conference room. Her face showed the strain of the past few days, but her voice remained strong. The second test begins in 2 hours, she explained. Unlike the pilot test, this one requires a team approach. I'll lead with Officer Kim and Dr. Lee as advisors. What exactly is the test? Dr. Lee asked. We must solve a conflict between 2 Concordat races, the Vril and the Florians, Captain Park said. They've been fighting over a shared border world for decades. Kim frowned. How are we supposed to solve a conflict that's been going on for that long? We're not, Captain Park replied honestly. Like the first test, this one is designed to make us fail. But failure isn't an option. Choi entered the room with an urgent expression. Captain, I've been monitoring Concordat communications. There's something you need to know about the third test. Everyone listened as Choi explained what he had discovered. The final test, testing biological compatibility, was more than it seemed. It's not just a test, Choi said. Some Valorian hardliners are planning to introduce a harmful element to prove humans are biologically incompatible with Concordat environments. How harmful? Kim asked. Choi's face was grim, potentially fatal, and it would look like a natural failure. The room fell silent as everyone processed this information. We need proof, Captain Park finally said. Without it, any accusation would look like we're trying to avoid the tests. Kim stood up. I'll work with Talo. The Neruians might have access to information we don't. Be careful, Captain Park warned. We still need to pass this diplomatic test while you investigate. 2 hours later, Captain Park, Kim, and Dr. Lee entered the Concordat's diplomatic chamber. 7 judges, 1 from each Concordat species, sat in a semicircle facing a large holographic display showing a lush green planet. Supreme Counselor Zith began the proceedings. This is Terrace 9, a planet claimed by both the Vril Collective and the Florian domains. For 50 years, they have failed to reach an agreement on its status. The holographic display showed scenes of conflict between the insectoid Vril and the plant-like Florians. The Vril need the planet's mineral resources, a Vril representative explained, mandibles clicking. Our expansion depends on these materials. The planet hosts unique plant species vital to our reproductive cycle. The Florian countered, its leaf-like appendages waving. Our survival depends on access to these plants. Your task, Zith said to the humans, is to propose a solution that satisfies both parties. You have 1 hour to prepare, then you will present your proposal. As they moved to a small side room to discuss options, Kim whispered to Captain Park, this isn't just a test. It's a real conflict they haven't been able to solve. Which means there might not be a solution they'll both accept, she replied quietly. For the next hour, they analyzed the information provided about the planet and both species' needs. Dr. Lee studied the biological and geological data, while Captain Park and Kim considered various diplomatic approaches. When they returned to present their solution, the Concordat chamber was full. Word had spread about the human who had adapted Valorian technology, and many station residents wanted to see what the humans would do next. Captain Park stood before the Concordat judges with calm confidence. After reviewing the information provided, we propose a shared stewardship model for Terrace 9. She outlined a plan where the Vril would have mining rights to specific regions rich in minerals, while the Florians would maintain control of the areas with their vital plant species. But there was a twist. The key to this solution is not separation, but integration, Captain Park explained. Our research shows that the waste material from Vril mining contains compounds that actually enhance the growth of Florian reproductive plants. Dr. Lee stepped forward with data showing how the Vril mining process could be modified slightly to benefit the Florian plants. By working together, Captain Park continued, both species get what they need. More importantly, they get more than they would working separately. The chamber was silent as the judges considered the proposal. The Vril and Florian representatives studied the data, their alien expressions unreadable to human eyes. Finally, the Valorian spoke. This solution was unexpected. It requires cooperation rather than division. A concept humans understand well, Captain Park replied. Earth was once divided into many competing nations. We learned that our greatest achievements came when we worked together, combining different strengths and perspectives. The judges withdrew to deliberate. While they waited, Kim received an urgent message from Choi. He had found proof of the Valorian plot to sabotage the third test. When the judges returned, they announced their decision. The human solution is acceptable, Zith said, its crystalline body showing muted colors that suggested reluctance. The second test is passed. The third test will begin tomorrow. As the chamber cleared, Kim approached Captain Park. We need to talk privately, he said. Choi found something. Back on the Harmony Kim, Captain Park, and the senior staff reviewed Choi's evidence. He had managed to intercept communications between certain Valorian officials, discussing a plan to introduce a radiation element during the third test that would cause severe reactions in human biology. This isn't just cheating, Captain Park said angrily. It's attempted murder. We need to bring this to the full Concordat Council, Dr. Lee suggested. With Taylor's help, Kim added. The Neruians have been allies from the beginning. They can help ensure we're heard. Captain Park nodded. We do this carefully, not as an accusation against all Valorians, but as evidence of corruption among a few officials. The next morning, instead of appearing for the third test, Captain Park requested an emergency session of the full Concordat Council. With Taylor's support, the request was granted. The council chamber was tense as Captain Park presented Choi's evidence. Supreme Counselor Zith's crystalline body flashed with agitation as the plot was revealed. These are serious accusations, Zith said when she finished. But the evidence appears to be obtained through unauthorized access to Concordat systems. Because official channels were compromised, Kim countered. A heated debate erupted among the council members. Some defended the Valorians, while others expressed shock at the plot. The chamber grew louder until Captain Park stepped forward again. We did not come here to divide the Concordat, she said, her voice cutting through the noise. We came to join it. Even after discovering this plot, we still wish to work with all Concordat races, including the Valorians. The chamber quieted, surprised by her words. We know about the crisis facing the Valorian people, she continued. The stellar changes threatening your home system. Your species is struggling to adapt quickly enough. Zith's colors dimmed. How do you know of this? Because we sought to understand you, not just judge you, Captain Park replied. Earth has faced many environmental crises. Humans had to adapt rapidly to survive. This is the knowledge we offer freely to the Valorians and all Concordat members. She nodded to Dr. Lee, who displayed research data from Earth. Our scientists have reviewed the information about the Valorian crisis. Dr. Lee explained. We believe human adaptive research could help develop solutions, ways to protect Valorian physiology from the changing radiation patterns. Murmurs spread through the chamber as the Concordat members considered this unexpected offer. You would help those who sought to harm you? Zith asked, its colors showing confusion. That is what cooperation means, Captain Park said simply. Helping each other overcome challenges that none of us can solve alone. A different Valorian stepped forward, its colors showing gentler patterns. I am Counselor Ilara. Not all Valorians supported this deception. Many of us saw the potential benefits of human adaptability. We would gratefully accept your offer of assistance. The mood in the chamber shifted. Other Concordat races expressed support for a new approach, not containment of humanity, but partnership. In the end, the Concordat voted to create a special category of membership for Earth, not restricted as the hardliners had wanted, but not fully integrated yet either. A probationary period was established, during which humans and Concordat members would work together on mutual challenges, including the Valorian crisis. 1 month later, Kim stood at the viewport of the Harmony as it prepared to return to Earth. Beside him was Captain Park, looking satisfied despite the exhaustion of the past weeks. "Not exactly the outcome we expected," Kim said. "But perhaps better in the long run," she replied. "Real partnerships are built on mutual need and respect, not domination." Talo approached them, now officially assigned as the Neurian liaison to Earth. "Your ship is cleared for departure. The first Concordat delegation will follow in 2 weeks to begin the adaptive research program. And Officer Kim will be Earth's security liaison to the Concordat," Captain Park added with a smile. Kim looked surprised. "Captain, you've earned it," she said. "No one understands both the risks and opportunities of this relationship better than you." As the Harmony pulled away from the station, Kim watched the stars. Humans had found their place in the galaxy, not as rulers or subjects, but as partners. Their greatest strength wasn't technology or resources, but their unique ability to adapt and help others adapt alongside them. It wasn't perfect. There would be challenges ahead. But for the first time since leaving Earth, Kim was truly optimistic about humanity's future among the stars.